It's time to share secrets and insights from fellow entrepreneurs. If you're looking to grow or start a business and you're a game changer, then keep listening to Avanti Entrepreneur for great advice from your host, Dave Mammano, America's entrepreneur coach.
Hey, Avanti Tribe, Dave Mammano here. Just want to thank our sponsor, Paychex. You know, Paychex, they make it simple for businesses of all sizes to pay and manage their team. They make payroll easy with employee pay options, including direct deposit, checks, pay cards, and so much more. Founded over 4 decades ago to relieve the complexity of running a business so that the owners can focus on what matters most. Above all else, and more than any other company, Paychex makes it simple. Visit AvantiEntrepreneurGroup.com. Go to our partner link and check them out. They're offering you a free month of payroll just for giving them a shot as an Avanti Tribe member. Give them a shot, folks. They really help this podcast to be possible. Really appreciate Paychex. Now, enjoy the show. Hello, I am Dave Mammano, and welcome to the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, and we're here to help entrepreneurial achievers and business owners and leaders move forward so that they can reach their potential. I do this by interviewing the nation's best business movers and shakers. Today I have on the show Jenn Grace. Jenn, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, David. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time. So I'm going to do your bio here and we're going to dig deep. So,
all right.
Jenn T. Grace is a nationally recognized business strategist, speaker, and author. Guided by the mantra, change happens in business, Jenn believes social change happens first in the workplace before spilling over into mainstream society. Jenn is a best-selling author and has been featured in Forbes, Huffington Post, the Hartford Courant, and CNBC. Passionate about helping people share their stories of adversity, Jenn is a founder of the Authors Academy and Publish Your Purpose Press, a marathon runner, animal lover, and novice birder. She lives in Connecticut with her family. Jenn, once again, welcome to the show, and a very, very diverse and interesting bio. Everything from bird watching to best-selling author. I love it. I love it.
You know, gotta have interests, right?
Absolutely. So as you know, we talked a little bit before. Avanti entrepreneurs are really more or less, entrepreneurs that want to grow to that next level. They want to do it with purpose. They certainly want to make profits, but they got into being an entrepreneur for a reason, right? And most likely, in some way, shape, or form, to dent their world, dent their community, perhaps dent the universe, as Steve Jobs did, right?
Yes.
And so, give us an overview of who you are, how you got there, what you do. And of course, it's my job to dig out all the great nuggets of learning lessons for the Avanti family.
All right. Okay. So I will try to do the Cliff Notes version here. So upon graduating from college, I have an undergrad degree in communications and I have a graduate degree in marketing. And upon leaving the college nest, I started a job with an insurance company. And prior to that, I was working in retail. And in retail, being an out LGBTQ person is no big deal. There's plenty of people. It's not a homophobic environment. It is what it is. I went into working for this insurance company and I immediately was hit with just discrimination and homophobia. And it was not a great scene. So I tried to do whatever I could. I was there for 5.5 years. It was immediately the second I was employed, it wasn't a pleasurable environment to work in, but I loved what I did. I had a lot of autonomy. I really was managing the marketing department and I really loved it. So I did my best to try to change the internal company culture. It just, as much as I tried, I did not succeed in what I was hoping for. So I ended up leaving and going to freelance. And so what I did there with my marketing background is I started teaching small businesses primarily. It started off with small business, how to market to the LGBTQ community. And this was back in 2006, 2007. And from there, fast forward, I started working with Fortune companies, ended up writing 4 books specifically on this topic. And then everyone I knew in my professional circles kept saying, well, how did you do it? How did you write a book? Or how did you know what to do? Or how did you publish? And how did you hire an editor? And all of those kind of common things that if someone's interested in writing a book and you don't know anything, you're just going to ask people who've been there and done it. So did that, had a lot of people asking me questions. In 2015, I decided enough is enough with the questions. Mm-hmm. I'm going to create a program that shows people how to actually do this. I did that. Fast forward, I showed a lot of people and they said, I know that you're showing me, not everybody, but a good amount said, I know that you're showing me how to do this, but can you just do it for me? And I'm like, well, this is an interesting proposition. And so in 2016, I founded Publish Your Purpose Press, which focuses on helping elevate thought leaders, helping them elevate their message, helping them create a bigger impact and, going bigger and bolder. Do you do editing now that my cat has wandered on through?
For all those watching this on video, we got a great glimpse of Jenn's beautiful cat saying hello.
Unbelievable. All right. Time to relocate.
We love it. The Avanti family, we love animals. There's no doubt. So very
cool. my word. I have a podcast for our Publish Your Purpose Press company, and she has made many guest appearances on that podcast because it's video as well.
Excellent. So separates you from the average.
It certainly does. Okay.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit more about Publish Your Purpose Press. Anybody just go to the site, learn more about it, sign up, and what's the ultimate goal? They get a book, a self-published book?
Yeah, absolutely. So because I'm an author myself, and I really used my 4 books on LGBTQ in the workplace, I really found a system that works in terms of not just writing a book so it becomes a doorstop, but how do we write a book that creates impact and creates change and helps people truly excel and impact communities in which they live and work. So I created the Authors Academy, which is a 14-week program, and it basically goes from start to finish. What does it take to get your book published? What does it take to go from, you've got this thought and idea kind of in your head, and you need to figure out how to execute it and get it on paper and into a book. So it's not just that, though. It's more of the business opportunities. It's the speaking opportunities. It's how are you leveraging your thought leadership into every facet of your business. And I encounter a lot of people where they say, I'm going to write this book, and then they do it, and then it's just kind of like this thing that lives over here. But rather, we want to make sure that your message is concrete and it's incorporated into every facet of what you're doing. So our authors are primarily public speakers, whether they're early stage in their career of speaking or they're, getting $50,000 for a keynote, they are using their book as part of their speaking platform. And then additionally, most of them have some kind of consulting business or some kind of business that the people that they're serving can kind of benefit from their thought leadership in their book. So that's kind of like the who, and it really focuses on impact, mission, purpose, passion. Those are kind of the four things. It's that intersection of all of those things. How do we create more impact within our given communities? Because we all have communities in which that we live and work, but how can we serve and how can we really be leading with our purpose?
Excellent. It seems like your industry of self-publishing is really I'll say burgeoning in the past few years. Like before, if you wanted a book published, you'd have to go to, McGraw-Hill, Penguin, these big companies, right? And very hard to do. And you were responsible for being a massive marketing tool for the book, and they owned you, and you didn't really make much money off your book. Now, I've had a few people on the show that do what you do, and obviously there's a lot of room for all of you. But tell us about the whole self-publishing journey. So let's say there's an Avanti entrepreneur listener that, wants to become more of a thought leader, wants to separate themselves from all the other competitors out there. There's the thing called the sea of sameness, right? So maybe I'll write a book to show how I'm different.
Yes.
Let's be clear, the odds of you being a New York Times bestseller or the next Stephen King, they're low. They could happen. They're low. But most people are writing a book in today's world, especially self-publishing and or business type of related books. certainly to provide great content and value. But at the end of the day, if done correctly, it's an incredible marketing tool, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that that's what most people lead with is how am I using this to get more business? Because ultimately that's what you want to do. But in the self-publishing journey, so there's three buckets. So there's self-publishing on one extreme, and there's traditional publishing on the other, which is the Penguin, Random House, the McGraw-Hill, those folks. Then the burgeoning middle is what is now called as hybrid publishing. So it's really this idea of getting the services and the quality that you would get with a traditional publisher, but doing it where you have the control, the creative control. You decide, because oftentimes with traditional publishers, they decide the title, or if they don't agree with you, they're going to change it to what they think makes most sense, not necessarily makes most sense for you. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, from having control and creative authority and freedom from the self-publishing side, but getting the services of a traditional publisher. So what I would say to that, and we're a hybrid press, and there's so many of them out there, and everyone, when you're evaluating what publishing company makes sense for your needs, it's really kind of looking at the culture of that company and seeing, does what you're working on fit in kind of the catalog of other titles that they're publishing? Because you want to make sure, we would never publish a children's book. We focus on nonfiction and memoir only, and for people who are business owners, entrepreneurs, speakers. So if anyone doesn't really fall into that category, we have referral partners where we say, you should go check out this person because they actually focus on children's books or picture books and stuff like that. So when you're looking at it, and if someone's thinking I think self-publishing is a good path for me, what I would say to them is make sure that you are following industry best practices, because a poorly self-published book will do more harm to your brand and your reputation than not doing one at all. So I think that's kind of the big takeaway. And just simple things like making sure that you're going through a proper editorial process, or that you are hiring a actual graphic designer and you're not having someone's friend of a friend who's a cousin of somebody else who's just starting, because those two things in particular are really going to be damaging to a brand.
Sure. So what, I'm sure a lot of the listeners are saying, what is this going to cost me? Do you have some ranges that you can share with us regarding what does it look like to start working with you?
Oh, absolutely. So I actually have a PDF. So if anyone's listening to this and they want access to it, if you text the word publish to 345-345, you can get access to all of this information. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes as well. But we basically have a book cost blueprint, because the ranges are so extreme. So someone might say, you can go to Fiverr and spend $5 and get a cover designed. Someone else is going to say, you need to hire a professional and it's going to cost you $5,000. It's the same cover that you're looking to get, but it could be $5, it could be $5,000. Neither of those is accurate. I always say to people, expect to spend between $300 and $700 for your cover. So we actually have a blueprint that goes through each line item, from editing to the interior layout to the cover design. So I can tell you that we've had some students who've gone through our Authors Academy program, and they've invested about $5,000 in total to get their book done. Okay. I've also talked to people who've invested $50,000, $60,000. So it really depends on what you're looking for, which is why it's really important to just do a lot of due diligence and really evaluate the different type of service providers that you're looking at. Because for me, my personal mission in this whole industry is to lower the frequency of predatory practices that are out there. If we look at the publishing industry as a whole, it's really predatory, where people prey on those first-time authors. They're going to come to you and say, well, you need to spend $10,000 on this type of editing package and service. And if you don't have any frame of reference, if that's actually a good deal or not, you can be spending $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 and have nothing to show for it at the end of it. So my personal mission is to protect people from what they don't know. So I can say that, roughly, I would say it probably averages around 10, 15,000 to get a really good quality book out there, which includes a lot of marketing as well, and a lot of kind of strategy around how do you implement it. But the ranges are out there everywhere. You can find someone that will publish your book for $500 and someone else is going to say it's 60,000. And it's really a matter of looking at what do you need and what are the, and what is the track record of that company.
right?
It's a lot.
The Ferrari level and the Hyundai level. And
that is correct. Yeah. But the difference is that when it comes to advertising with Ferraris and Hyundais, we have a general sense of what we're getting with each, versus publishing. People aren't advertising using car analogies. So it's kind of like, well, this is what somebody told me I should do. And then, you walk away and then all of a sudden you have $30,000 invested into something and don't really have a lot to show for it, which it pains me when I have those conversations with people, because I feel like it's not okay. So we're trying to be like the anti-predatory publisher in every way.
I love it. That could be your tagline, right? So
I have thought about that.
Yeah, I love it. So now that we know what you do, at the end of the day, you are an entrepreneur. And I would
Absolutely.
love to learn a little bit more about your habits for success. What's some of the best advice that you've received over the years that have helped shape you and your business?
I have so many little kind of hacks that I do in any given day to set myself up for success. One of the things, and I feel like this is kind of like a common phrase or a common tip that you hear from people, is that I have just a regular planner, and it has like your to-do for the day on one side, and it has, the things that you're trying to accomplish for that day on the other. And it gives you mine in particular gives you 7 lines. Never actually use all of the lines, because you don't want to put that many things on your to-do list, because you will get nothing done, because then you're just kind of bouncing from thing to thing. So what I do at night is that I look at my day ahead and I write in, what phone calls do I have? Am I on someone's podcast today? And at least I have an idea. Then I can see where the white space is in the day and say, all right, my focus right now personally is actually trying to blend my 2 brands. I have my personal brand, I have my publishing company, and my consulting company. So how am I kind of getting these to all better align? Because they've kind of, morphed over time. And so I can actually look and say, like, my primary goal for the month of February is to realign my personal brand. And now I can see that that's one thing. That's it. That's my only thing I'm trying to accomplish for the day. And then I take a picture of it and I send it to myself, so it's in my inbox, so I can't miss it. And it's like Wednesdays to do or Thursdays to do. And then it helps keep me focused. So I keep the image that I've taken a picture of on my desktop. I have 3 monitors and it's on one of them. So I can always see that's what I need to be doing today. Because if we're not focused, we're just going to spin our wheels. We're playing an email. We're having phone calls that aren't actually furthering your business. And it's all of those little tiny moments in any day that you can really kind of waste a lot of time and energy. It's probably my biggest one. Yeah.
I love it. How about, so those are some business habits for efficiency, we'll say, productivity.
Love efficiency.
I can tell. It's good. What about personal habits?
So I meditate, which I know it seems to be another emerging space that everyone does meditation. I also plan my exercise for the middle of the day, which seems counterintuitive, because a lot of people will get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to exercise. But for me, I know that there's like that midday slump that occurs. So for me, it's usually around 11:30, between like 11:30 and 1. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to go out and go for a run, because whatever stuff I've been working on from 8 a.m. to 11:30, I need time to process and kind of digest what I was doing before I start tackling whatever that other big project is. So it's a great way to kind of like break up your day and still get exercise in, which I think there's so many benefits to just really having an active and healthy lifestyle for entrepreneurs. And I think especially for entrepreneurs who are just starting out, I remember those days, which were a long time ago at this point, but where I would be working 14 or 16 hours a day. If I ate, I would be grateful that I actually ate in that time period. And, that's not sustainable. Like, you can really burn yourself out really quickly. So I think really prioritizing health and well-being can really set you up for long-term success.
Excellent. How about this question? How about, it's a beginning stage entrepreneur, and they, you're sitting down with them and having coffee, and you're saying, and they're like, okay, Jen, give me some great advice, and what are you going to tell that entrepreneur as they're starting out, the systems and the processes and the habits, the foundation of what to do to have a really great, successful first couple of years?
Number one, I think having systems and processes in place is critical, because if you can't show someone else how to support you and delegate, then you're going to constantly be in that stuck mode. But I think the bigger thing that kind of loops into this is know your numbers intimately. I think many new business owners are afraid to look at their numbers. They're afraid to look at their balance sheet. They're afraid to look at the P&L for the month. They have no idea what their cost of goods sold is. They don't know, they don't know how much it costs for them to acquire a new customer. And without that type of data, it's really hard to figure out what you're going to do next, or what you're going to invest in next, or what product or service you might need to be doing, or what do you need to remove because it's just not profitable. And I find, and I work with a lot of, I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship and startups in general. So I'm constantly talking with, new people. And it's shocking to me how even seasoned business owners that don't know their numbers. It's just kind of like, I put it in QuickBooks and like, here it is. And it's like, well, how much does it cost you? Like, what is your overhead? Very simple, in theory, simple questions. It really helps you make better business decisions. And I think a lot of people just kind of overlook that altogether just because they something they don't know and they're just afraid of. So to me, be intimate with your numbers is my number one piece of advice I would give to people.
Excellent advice. Where do you go? Where do you go for inspiration, mentorship, and just energy to continue doing the great work that you're doing?
Now, I have always been surrounded by amazing people very intentionally. But if I go back, I founded my LLC formed in 2008. So that, was quite a while ago. In 2011, I met somebody who did peer advisory boards or roundtables. And I forgot what your terminology specifically is for yours.
Yeah, peer group. We come at
peer group.
Avanti peer groups. Yep.
Exactly. So I cannot express enough how important it is to have a peer group. So in 2011, when I joined my first peer group, I don't know exactly how old I was, but I was like a good 30 years younger than the other people in the group. And it was the most amazing experience, even though they had businesses, like one was a financial advisor, someone was an accountant, nothing that I thought I could relate to, but the amount of wisdom that people have who are seasoned in their craft and in their business, having them around the table with you, like there's not an amount of value that you can really put on that because it's invaluable. And so I have always had a peer advisory group in my life because you have to have people around you that can help you answer your questions. Like when I was applying for a line of credit, I have no idea what good or bad or what the right terms should be for that. But I have that peer advisory group that I can go to say, all right, this is what the bank is offering me. Is this something that I should take? And then I have this trusted group of people around me, some of which who have experience in obtaining a line of credit, some who don't. So it's that opportunity to ask those questions that otherwise, where are you going to get that answer from? That's not going to be some kind of biased answer. But when you have a peer advisory group, you're around that table or in that setting specifically with the intention to support and elevate one another. And I think that's where you can get that unbiased information because they're genuinely there to support you in everything that you do. So I'm thrilled that you facilitate and have peer advisory groups. And I cannot express enough that everyone who's listening to this needs to be part of one.
Amen, Jen. I'm going to use that as the commercial for Avanti. I appreciate that.
Please do. And I'm not getting paid for this, for the record, just so everyone knows.
We're not coming from the heart. Coming from the heart.
Absolutely.
So Jen, last question. If you could spend an hour with somebody in history that you're not related to, who would that be?
Oh, man. I feel like Eleanor Roosevelt is the person who immediately pops in my mind. I feel like she was a pioneer on so many different fronts in very non-obtrusive and obvious ways that I feel like when we look back looking back, it's like she had some really amazing wisdom and was totally undervalued. So I feel like I would love to just kind of hear what her experiences were throughout that time.
One of my favorite quotes, do something that scares you every day.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. She was a fountain of wisdom. I have a handful of her quotes that are kind of throughout our Authors Academy program even because they're good. And it's like, you have to be stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone or else you're not going to grow. You're not going to get, like, if it's not scaring the hell out of you in that moment, what are your, just being not sedentary, but complacent, that's not going to create change and impact. Like we really have to stretch ourselves.
A boat safe in the harbor rots. How about that one?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
And actually, Eleanor Roosevelt really, I'm going to say, invented the modern role for the First Lady, right? I mean, before that, they were kind of in the background, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Dolly Madison did a little bit more, but that was very early on, right? And but she kind of set a new bar for the First Lady, and that continues to grow and evolve, right? So
yeah, trailblazing.
Absolutely. I got one more question for you. Besides your own, what are some of your favorite books?
Oh, yes. All right. So obviously I can't include my own. Okay. So here is a book that is amazing. So it's an author whose name is Sally Hogshead. So it's Hogs head, Hogshead. And she has this whole way of how do we show up in the world. So it's about personal branding, which I'm super passionate about as well. And it's really not what you think your personal brand is, but how other people are interpreting you as a personal brand. So she's got probably 3 or 4 books at this point, but one of them I believe is called Fascinate, because it's called The Fascination Advantage. It is an amazing book that I will tell you will change everything about the way that you interact within your business. And she's now just recently launched a business version of it. So, if you're trying to figure out what your business brand is, it can kind of help you with that. Her audiobook is phenomenal. I have the audiobook and the print book, but she's an amazing author. And she's an incredible speaker. So if you have an opportunity that she's speaking at a conference, it's a game changer. I love all of her work.
I have heard of her. I'm trying to remember where, but I definitely have heard her name before.
Yeah, she's in the Speaker Hall of Fame. So she's a huge, well-known speaker and just does an incredible job. And her marketing and branding insights are spot on. They can be applied in your personal life and your business life.
All right, terrific. So Jenn, we'll have some information in the show notes, but if our listeners want to get in touch with you, what is the best way?
So they can go to my personal brand website, which is Jenn with 2 N's. So JENNTGRACE.com. If they're just kind of interested in me in general, but if you're interested in publishing and want to learn more there, you can go to publishyourpurposepress.com. I wish it was shorter, but it is what it is.
A lot of P's in there.
Lots of P's.
Yeah. Publishyourpurposepress.com.
Correct.
Well, Jenn T. Grace, thank you so much for your time, your insights, and sharing all your experiences and knowledge and advice. We appreciate it, and I wish you continued massive success.
Thank you, David. It was my pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. And I want to thank the Avanti family for listening to this podcast. Of course, go to AvantiEntrepreneur.com to learn more about what we do, who we are. Join one of our groups. We have mastermind groups. We have coaching groups. We have online programs, all different price levels, kind of like a health club, except for your business. And that's right at AvantiEntrepreneur.com. And plus, we have all the podcasts that I've done so far over there as well. We're well over 100. I've got such great, incredible content, great interviews because of wonderful people like Jenn Grace. So thanks again, Jenn. Make it a great day, everybody, and stay awesome.
Thank you for listening. Head over to AvantiEntrepreneurGroup.com for show notes and more helpful advice from entrepreneurs like you. Continue to find your entrepreneurial rhythm at the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast.